Happy Friday here at the Woodward Bet Show. We are in full March Madness mode. After seeing what we've seen today, we've already got upsets in the Big Ten tournament. Beastie's calling the Red Wing games right on the numbers. I mean, what else do you want from around here? Baseball's back. I mean, Tigers plus 700 to win the division. Man, big move by the Chargers. We got Big Ten tournament to talk about, all kinds of stuff. But before we get too far, let's bring in Beastie. What's going on, my friend?
Yes, what a great day. I mean, what is it? It's Friday, right? But it's basically, let's just call it what it is. It's the weekend, especially for degenerates like us. You know, anything goes. We got 42 college basketball games on today. Some of our already played, some of but from start to finish today, just a beautiful day. And then I rarely, Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, or anybody that's watching in the chat, rarely do I toot my own horn or go, I'm the greatest alive. But that call last night with the Red Wings final score was nuts. I wouldn't even have known about it like 11 o'clock last night. In my inbox on social media and Twitter was going nuts, and I had to open my eye. I was in bed and I looked at I went through and look, I go, holy smokes, I did. I said 6-5, Minnesota will prevail 6-5. The only thing I missed is the shootout. I figured it was going to be, you know, final 60-minute score here, but I'll take that all day. And the New York Islanders absolutely smashed. So running hot here with the hockey stuff. So let's, you know, double down on it again today as we weave through college basketball.
Absolutely. That's a hell of a call. And Kaprizov scored a goal too for Minnesota, as we talked about too. So that was pretty nice as well. But Beastie, man, what the hell happened to Michigan yesterday? What a collapse, man. 17 points up to Indiana. And then now here Indiana goes out and beats Illinois today. So, man, they're on the run. Looks like they might get a spot in the NCAA tournament. Now, Beastie, we know Michigan was kind of on the edge there. If these borderline teams keep making it, I don't know, man. I don't know if Michigan gets squeezed out. I'm feeling pretty confident, but that's still a possibility if, you know, some of these just on the outs or, you know, some of these underdog teams start winning these conference tournaments, they eat up spots that other teams, you know, should be getting, like a team like Michigan. But, man, what'd you think of that collapse yesterday? That was tough to watch.
Yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? So Indiana beats Michigan, and then what they did again, you know, the next day today here, it's like, why even bother with putting Michigan into the tournament? Are they that deserving? To be fair, I would prefer to see something silly like Colorado State or San Diego State, a team that would be more exciting. Right now, the Michigan Wolverines are just blah. I mean, they're not inspired. They're just there. And it bums me out. I got the Michigan pennant hanging there. We know where my allegiance lies here, but it's like, what are we doing here? I don't want to start a whole thing here on this broadcast that it'll spill over to the weekend or next week on these shows here, kind of like when I was talking about Jim Harbaugh here. But something needs to change here. You know what they say, especially if you're in therapy or you go to support groups meeting. The more things change, the more they stay the same, and or nothing changes if nothing changes, and that's the move. Might sound weird, might sound like some weird catch-22 phrase. You know, if nothing changes, if nothing changes here. But Michigan, what's it going to take? They need a swift kick in the ass. They need to get a fire lit out from under them. And I mentioned that on Tuesday when Lexi was here, and I was all high and mighty about it. You know, Michigan's going to be fantastic. This is where they start. They'll go on some sort of run, and they absolutely just crapped the bed, flamed out. Why even bother putting them into the tournament here? Because again, a week or two from now, if they are in the tournament, we'll do the same thing. That they'll lose in the play-in game, or they'll get blown out by somebody that's more deserving in the first round here. So personally, let's just end the season now. It was a nasty season. Jawan slapping folks, suspensions. Just leave it alone. I love Michigan. I love you. I love everybody, you know, that loves anything Michigan or Detroit sports. But it's done. Let's pack up the tents and the horses, and we'll go home and we'll reconvene next year. Why bother with Michigan basketball this season?
Yeah, BC, I was watching that game. I don't understand how the hell Hunter Dickinson only gets 3 shots in that second half. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. You got to at least have some sort of, you know, adjustment or something else that you make during the season. But, you know, I'm kind of with you here. I mean, the Big Ten here, basketball team here with Michigan, I mean, obviously being out. I mean, we'll see, you know, how much excitement they're going to draw here in the tournament. But, hey, Beastie, we got some we got hockey. We got some college hockey there in the Final Four of that this weekend, which should be pretty interesting. But other than that, Beastie, yeah, that was tough. But hey, on the good note, Beastie, thankfully, we got baseball back. Man, thank God. I was kind of getting worried there. I mean, they're threatening, to cancel everything here. But as far as our Tigers go, man, I've already been saying here, I'm pretty excited for our Tigers. I think we're on the uprise here. I think we got some great young talent coming through, and we'll see. We might even add another piece here as now free agency's open backing up for these guys here. I mean, we know Correa's still out there. I think that's a stretch. We know there's some other guys that are available, but Tigers are set plus 700, Beastie, to win the AL Central. I mean, I don't really think that's bad odds. If you want to throw a few bucks at it just to root on something, you get some long sweat equity. I mean, what are you talking? Maybe August or so, you might figure that they're out of it here. I just think really the only club that I'd be afraid of at this point is the White Sox. But Beastie, what do you think? Plus 700 on Tigers to win the Central. Are you interested in that at all?
This is why I came to the show today, to talk baseball. Again, I'm not an old man, and I know Beer says it and makes fun of you. You're not an old man either. But when it comes to baseball, I am an old man. I could talk baseball from start to finish all day, all the statistics, all the ifs, ands, or buts here. And you watch Major League, that one, the Indians. I mean, I could talk baseball until I'm blue in the face. And when we look at the Tigers this season, yeah, why can't they win the AL Central here? Could they take a page out of the Red Wings book right now? I'm not saying that the Red Wings are going to win anything of note this year, but they are moving in the right direction big time. They're moving the needle in a rebuild here. And are the Wings like ahead of schedule with rebuilding themselves? Absolutely. Why can't the Tigers follow suit? We know baseball is it's in comparison to, let's say, hockey, because I got hockey on the brain. Baseball is a slow grind, 162 games. You're traveling, dog days of summer, the boys of summer, as they call it here. But I think the Tigers could really get something going here. And it all starts with moving the pieces around. Now we have the universal DH. So Cabrera doesn't really have to play in the field anymore. He can just sit on the bench, hang out, and hit the baseball. This guy is going to be invaluable in terms of experience to these kids as they come up. Torkelson, Riley Green, all of these, even Javi Baez in the dugout should be kind of a boost here. We see people across the board, the Chicago Cubs and even a little bit of the New York Mets. They hated this guy, especially in New York when Javi was there. But realistically, the same goes across the board. If I didn't like broadcasting with Woodward Sports, I'd be an absolute jerk. I'd be an absolute asshole, and people would call me out as such. But when you get a team, especially a team that's as like established, or the history of the Detroit Tigers, right? Guys are going to want to come here, and I feel like the door is kind of open now, where hey, a lot of everybody else sees what's going on here and they want to join in. I'm hoping the same thing happens for our Lions. I hope the same thing happens for our Wings later on here. But I absolutely would have no issue placing a couple bucks on the Tigers to win the AL Central. Look around briefly. I'm not going to keep us here while we dig through the AL Central on the other teams here, but Cleveland they've all but given up. They got rid of Lindor. The only guy that they're hanging on to is Shane Bieber, and he can't get them 100 wins, 90 wins. Guy pitches every 5 games. You look at the Minnesota Twins, they're a very well-run organization. Regardless, they're down and out. They always find their way into this thing. The only team, well, aside from Kansas City, they got nothing going on either, but the only team in this division that I think is going to give us fits for a long time, and I welcome the back and forth challenge of the next 5-6 years, is between the Tigers and the White Sox. They have an unbelievably amount of young studs and prospects that are still coming up, working out the kinks. Andrew Vaughn, Lewis Robert. I mean, they have a ton of talent there. And I might have said it like a year or two ago, not even when I was around with Woodward, but I absolutely think the White Sox are able to win a World Series here by 2023, by 2024. And from this day and moving forward, hopefully the Tigers they're going to just thrive off that competitive nature of the division. And I hope we get everything that we paid for. Hope we get everything we came for with the Tigers, because again, as a 37-year-old man, I paid attention to baseball my whole life, but I cannot at one time in my life be as excited as I am right now for the Tigers, with the collection of kids that they have that are going to be like shining lights, right? They're carrying the torch. They got the swords, and we're ready for battle here. So give me all the Tigers, Spencer Torkelson, Riley Green, and you just have a stud pitching rotation. I have it around here somewhere. You gave this to, where is it? You gave this to me not too long ago when I met last Friday. You gave me what's his name? Tariq Skubal rookie card. I mean, what more do you want when we're talking Tigers and just getting handed rookie cards? So thank you for that. And yeah, I'm absolutely going to put a couple bucks on this one.
Yeah, I think the Tigers are loaded. I mean, you got to have a good pitching staff. I think they're there. They've been tested a little bit. You know, they are young. They came up and took their lumps a little bit. That being Mize, Manning, Skubal. I think, you know, they're in pretty good spot. They got some young arms. I know, you know, they were collecting these young arms, big arms here in the draft. They got some good talent coming up. I mean, we got a catcher coming up in Dingler. But I do like Tucker Barnhart. I think that was an excellent option there. I mean, last year he was hitting in the 270s, 280s for most of the year. He kind of collapsed there in the last month of the season. But I mean, I think he's a great addition. Baez is a good addition. He actually mentioned why he wanted to come to Detroit to play with Miguel Cabrera. And I think Miguel Cabrera, I mean, they're saying that he's in pretty much the best shape of his life. And why would he do something like that? I believe because he wants to get after it this year. I think he believes in what's going on. And he's going to be the straw that stirs this drink as the veteran leader and the guy that everybody looks up to. When they see him busting ass and coming in tip-top shape, I mean, what kind of tone is that going to set coming into spring training? So, Beastie, I'm with you, man. I follow these young kids through Toledo. I went to several Mudhen games. I mean, Torkelson hits a ball. It's got a different sound when it hits that bat. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to these guys. And I do think Riley Green is something special. I think he got a chance to be Rookie of the Year this year. I think Torkelson does as well. But, yeah, really looking forward. Plus 700. I mean, hey, it's a pretty decent bet. I'm not saying, you know, obviously they're the favorite, but you get 7-1. You only really got to beat one team, Beastie. So I don't mind that at all. But talking about some other big news in the sports world, how about that division again, that AFC West? Damn, now they add Khalil Mack to the Chargers. I mean, that division is becoming like an all-star team out there. I mean, man, we can't get any more high-profile players in there, but now you got Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack going to be chasing around all these quarterbacks. I mean, man, I think Herbert's lucky he's on their team here. I mean, he's the only guy that should feel safe as far as that goes. But Mahomes and now Wilson and Carr are going to have to worry about Khalil Mack and Beastie. Those Chargers are plus 1,900 to win the Super Bowl after adding Khalil Mack. I don't know. Do you think there's any value there with the Chargers?
Well, let me start by saying this, right? Khalil Mack, he was a Chicago Bear for a couple seasons. We know the whole deal with Gruden. You know, they kind of just ousted him when he was with the Oakland Raiders at the time. And I believe that this is all from memory. I believe I came across something on social media the other day where, you know, it was a bunch of Chicago Bears fans are going, "We're going to miss you, Mack. And what's your favorite play that Khalil Mack ever made as a Chicago Bear?" And I'm not kidding. I didn't say this out loud. I am now. I stopped to think. And I said, I don't remember him at all playing for the Bears because he was realistically, he was insignificant. He wasn't Khalil Mack. He was just kind of going through the motions. Do you think in a way, I don't know. It's the Chicago Bears, the coaching staff, we know that's gone now, or what the heck happened with Dalton as their quarterback? Like, did he feel like suppressed there? I don't want to do much. There's nothing to be gained here. So to be honest with you, Khalil Mack, we could just erase the fact that he was in Chicago from the history books because he didn't do jack there, unless I'm like missing some massive, you know, sack numbers or something like that. So now Khalil Mack goes to the Chargers, and I do firmly believe, you know, anybody, you, me, Stick, whoever's behind the glass here, when you take yourself out of not a toxic situation per se, but when you leave and you go somewhere that you want to be, you're reinvigorated, you're going to work, you're going to redouble your efforts, you're going to work harder. And I think we see a man possessed with Khalil Mack playing for the Chargers in the AFC West this coming season. And you're right, you know, so now the Chargers add Mack, and we know what the other teams in that division are. Is Kansas City still the favorite? Now we're going to start seeing here in this division, the AFC West, everybody's going to try and one-up each other. So who's to say that Kansas City doesn't send over, let's say, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a couple draft picks to Carolina, and then Christian McCaffrey comes on down to the AFC West. So there's just a ton of stuff that can go on here. Some of it makes sense. Some of it is just like a pipe dream here. But I love the idea that the Chargers have Mack here and Bosa on both sides. Going to be, we got a long way to go, Scott, but I'm sure, you know, you and I can help the folks, you know, carry this burden here, and we're going to be okay until next football season.
Yeah, BC, I'll tell you what, it's just a little fun. It's just a little ironic for me that he ended up with the Chargers, that being Khalil Mack. And a little quick story, I was in the FanDuel Live final 3 or 4 years ago, and that was right when Khalil Mack, he was still on the Raiders. Obviously the Chargers had Rivers. I was pretty much had the only guys left. I was fixing to win the million, be the world champion in fantasy football, and I'd be damned if Khalil Mack here in the last 2 minutes picked off a pass of Rivers and ended my hopes and dreams, ended up coming in 6. But all I needed was maybe about 4 or 5 points. I had Rivers, Inman, Gates, Crabtree on the other side, and then I had the kicker as well. So all I needed was San Diego to run down and kick a field goal, tie the game, and then they would have went to overtime. I would have crushed and really went far ahead of everybody. So, I mean, I still kind of blame Khalil Mack in my mind from keeping me from winning that million that day. So, of course, it happened against the Chargers, and now here he is. He's on the Chargers. So I kind of found that to be ironic. But either way, let's before we get too far, Beastie, let's give a shout out to our sponsor of the show, and that is Better Rate Mortgage. Better Rate Mortgage. Family is more than blood. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit mybetterrate.com or call 248-480-4467 today. But Beastie, let's continue on here. Let's talk about the big event going on at Woodward Sports, and that's the Woodward Sports Bracket Challenge here. So you guys got to get in there here, especially if you're watching the Woodward Bet Show with us. Go in there and put your name in there. Free to sign up. $1,000 for first. I mean, what can you ask for? We're giving away some tennis shoes as well, some Yeezys, and then third place gets a pizza party from Papa Romano's. But get on in there. I mean, put the WB next to your name because we want the Woodward Bets team to brag so we can take this thing down here. But Beastie, a lot of fun here with the bracket challenge. Should obviously Monday will be the day it all comes out. Obviously Sunday night, but Monday usually the day everybody's scratching at their brackets. But always a fun time of the year coming into March Madness, and we got baseball coming right behind it. We know baseball is going to be here. So, just a fun time as a sports fan, but nothing like March Madness and everybody. I mean, this has got to be America's pool, right? I mean, you can talk about Super Bowl squares, but America's pool is March Madness in the brackets. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody seems to get involved. So definitely looking forward. So, hey, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your dog, tell your parents, anybody out there to get in the Woodward Sports bracket pool here. But Beastie, what are you thinking here? Are you excited for March Madness to stroll in here?
Absolutely. You said it's America's pool. And I'm being honest when I tell you this. My grandmother just turned 96 years old about 4 days ago, and she fills out her own bracket. And I'm not kidding. She still gets the Detroit Free Press or the Detroit News delivered to her house. And the bracket's kind of already, I know it's not blank, but it's already, it's kind of molded and shaped. And she just circles the teams that she likes. So I'm going to see if I'll call her. I'll see if I can transfer her bracket to the Woodward Sports thing. And how sweet would that be? My 96-year-old grandma wins the whole thing, and I'll have her put the WB on there, and we'll go from there. And you're right, it's America's pool. Everybody across the board plays it. I know folks that they like football, but they don't play squares. I know 5-year-old children who like to fill out a bracket. I know impaired adults who like to fill out the bracket because it's a way to connect with everybody, because at that moment in time, March Madness is synonymous across the world for just betting, having fun, water cooler talk. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Go to the Woodward Sports site and fill out this bracket. And if you're looking for the Yeezy shoes, I mean, those are like $200, $300. I don't understand that, but the pizza party's good, or you can get the cash prize for first place. So make sure you go over there, you fill out the bracket, use WB so we know you're a part of us, you're a part of our team, because again, there is a little bit of pride here. We want to say, if we're doing our jobs correctly over here, Scott, then a Woodward Bets fan or a Woodward Bets, subscriber should win this thing, no doubt. Don't let anybody else win. Woodward Bets, we want this thing, and boom, we're going to have the pizza party.
Absolutely, we are. That's for damn sure. But Beastie, we got some games coming up here in the Big Ten. We got one at 6:30. Obviously, the Sparties are playing today. So let's dive into these couple Big Ten games. We still have 2 left. Obviously, we know that Indiana upset Purdue today. Iowa looks like they should be moving along as well. But MSU is getting 3 points here from Wisconsin. This one opened up at -1.5. 70% of the money is coming in on Wisconsin here. Wisconsin is 5-5 against the spread in the last 10. Michigan State is also they're 4-6 in their last 10 here. Kind of just looking at some head-to-head stats here, just looking back and forth. I mean, this game here has been pretty much back and forth here. Wisconsin actually has won the last 3 out of 4 against the spread. But as far as over-unders go, under, push. So, I mean, those have been kind of going back and forth. But these spreads have all been close, less than 5 here, these teams. But these last few games, OBC, every game has been double digits here. So we saw Wisconsin. Well, actually, Wisconsin won by 8. They covered the spread by 11. And then we had MSU win by 12 earlier in the year. And then last year, they ended up, Wisconsin actually ended up winning both games. But I don't know, BC. I think this one here, I think Michigan State, the end of the road here is today for Michigan State. I mean, they've just been up and down. I just don't like how they were playing. Yesterday, they had a pretty big lead on Maryland and almost ended up giving it up here. But give me Wisconsin in the Badgers here. I'll roll with the public. I normally don't like doing so, but I think that number is a pretty decent spot at -3.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, we had the same conversation a few weeks ago. It was a 3-man booth. It was you, me, and Beer here, and we went out of our way to discuss this because, you know, we're Michigan guys. Beer is a Wisconsin guy living in Michigan here. But to me, I don't want to say it's not going to be close because it is. This is, you know, postseason basketball for these kids here. But Wisconsin gets back to their stud, Johnny Davis, the consensus Big Ten Player of the Year here. So, you know, shaking off an ankle injury, which he hurt, I believe, against the Michigan State Spartans, one of the last games of the regular season here. So to me, I'm going to take Wisconsin to win and cover. And again, maybe I'll just say it. I don't think it's close. When I say that, we're looking at Wisconsin to win by, I'm just going to guess 7 or 8 points in this one. I don't have a final score. I can only use my crystal ball for hockey. So you're just going to have to trust my opinion here. And I think Michigan State, as you said, end of the road, they lose and Wisconsin covers.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it for the Sparty fans. They've been just too up or down. But, yeah, I think they got a tough one here tonight. We also got one other game in the Big Ten tonight. That is Penn State, who pulled the upset yesterday, are going to face Purdue here. So Purdue's been struggling here recently as far as the spread go. 0-5-2 their last 7 games against the spread. They are also 0-5-2 their last 7 games as a favorite, pretty much considering they would have been a favorite all those games. The Nittany Lions are 4-0 against their spread in their last 4 games. And then the over here is 7-1 in their last 8 games with a team with a winning record here. So just kind of looking, I mean, Penn State's been playing pretty decent. Obviously, they beat the Buckies, which we all laughed about and thoroughly enjoyed. They ended up beating Minnesota. They lost to Rutgers by a point, which they were 5-point favorites. They ended up losing to Illinois by 5. They were 7-point favorites. So, like we said, they have actually covered the last 5 out of 6 here. But I don't know, BC. I think this is a lot of points here. I mean, we're looking at 10.5 points, over under 134. 50% of the money is pretty much split here, Beastie. But I'm going to roll with Penn State here. I'm just going to take the points. I think that's just way too many here. But what are you thinking about this game here? You got any leans in this one?
Yeah, this is the classic case of do you follow the numbers and do you follow the rosters and the points scored and the points for and everything points to the direction of Purdue. I mean, when you look at it, Purdue 26th overall in points scored, while Penn State is 311. I mean, there couldn't be any bigger of a difference when you look across the board on this team. So do you go with that one, or do you go with the fact that Penn State has been playing well as of late? Who would have known? You know, people putting us down for losing in the first, Michigan losing to the first round to Indiana, and then boom, Penn State comes out and buries Ohio State. So when you look at this one, it's the classic case of, are you on fire? Are you rolling? Do the kids have it together? Versus Purdue, ho-hum, very fundamentally sound. They score the bucket a ton of here. So to me, 10.5, I don't care. I had Purdue. You can shop it around. I've seen some books where Purdue's -8.5, no brainer. 10.5 kind of moves the needle, and I still don't think it matters. Give me Purdue to win about 84-71. So you're looking at, 10 plus points, dang near 13-14 there. So yeah, give me Purdue. Magical run in the Big Ten comes to an end for the Nittany Lions here this evening.
Yeah, that's pretty much, we got those two games, and then we'll be heading into the weekend for these big games. But Beastie, as you mentioned, we got 42 games today. Other than those couple Big Ten games, was there anything that stood out to you that may have caught your eye as far as any kind of bets?
Yeah, I wrote down just two more games if you allot me a minute or two here. Actually, three. Texas Tech is playing OU today. We know Texas Tech and OU. I don't know if you think this way, Scott. Maybe I'm the only one, but when I look at college basketball games, I look at the teams, I look at the division, and then the first thing I think of is, what is this rivalry like on the gridiron when they play football? Because more than likely that stuff kind of spills over to basketball. Good team or bad team. That's the passion of college sports, right? The fans show up, the students show up, parents and all that shows up. So when you look at Texas Tech and OU, it's been pretty dominant. It's been one-sided on OU in terms of the gridiron, but on the basketball court here tonight, I think Texas Tech really takes it to OU. I got the final score around 71-60. So Texas Tech will win and they will cover. And I love the idea of sprinkling a couple of chips in on the North Carolina Tar Heels. They're playing Virginia Tech here. On paper, shouldn't really even be close, right? UNC is a historic, studly kind of program here, but Virginia Tech is going to hang tight with them. And so much so, I could see a case where the live betting is going on this evening, and Virginia Tech might be ahead in the second half, and the money's going to spill that way. But don't let that kind of deter you here. I have the North Carolina Tar Heels winning and covering 77-71 here. And I got one more. I think it's really late tonight, 11:30 or even midnight, if I'm not mistaken. It's San Diego State Aztecs are going to Colorado State to take on, I believe they're the Colorado State Rams, something along those lines. I'm going to take, in a very tight game here, San Diego State minus a point and a half in this one, but San Diego wins and covers, final 63-60. I know it might be crazy, but this is the kind of year we make some bets and things go our way. I'm going to put money on the final score here to be San Diego State wins 63-60. I've been on fire in terms of guessing total points scored or things like that. So let's carry it over. I believe that one is, as I double checked, I believe it's at midnight tonight.
Yeah, BC, there's also so many games today. I mean, it's a good day to have multiple TVs. I got a couple of them that I was looking at myself. I'm going to take all the points with the Hurricanes today facing Duke. Duke ended up losing to them 76-74 early in January this year. I just think that's just way too many points for a Duke team here that generally just doesn't do too well in the ACC tournament. But give me Miami plus the points. And then one other one, you mentioned that North Carolina game, Beastie. I'm going to go with the under in that one. I kind of like that one as well. Virginia Tech, I just think that'll be a slower type game. So let me have the under in that one. But moving along here, Beastie, we got some NBA to talk about. We got some NHL to talk about, of course, but I'm kind of excited, Beastie, in this NBA tonight. We got the Pistons playing. We know I've been riding high on the Pistons. They've been faring really well for me. Ended up losing that last one by half a point, which, man, it was still a little frustrating, but you can't be all that upset with the way our Pistons have been playing lately. But we'll start out with the Pistons, Beastie. They're getting 14.5 points from the Celtics. This one started out at 13.5. It's actually bumped up a point. 65% of the money, though, is coming in on the Pistons here. So, you know what, Beastie? You know what I'm going to say. I'm rolling with these Pistons here. I just do not think that Boston is going to beat us by 14.5 points. We know that last game that they played here, the Pistons ended up winning this last one. I just, I don't know, Beastie. I don't think that I can do it. Pistons ended up covering, like I said, well, they won 112-111, and then they actually ended up losing 104-113, but they still covered in that game as well. Beastie, what do you think of our Pistons here? I'm going to hop right back on in the night. Are you on with me here, or are you worried about these Celtics?
No, I've lived my life that way. What's going on? Oh, just hop back on it. We'll see what happens here. When you look at the Pistons, right, as you said, they're getting 14.5 points. That is an astronomical spread. It's no secret. I'm not that big in the NBA. Yeah, I'll dabble in DFS or some sports betting here. And I can honestly say, look all of you in the eye and tell you, I can't remember the last time I've seen a basketball game, any team, any city getting 14.5 points. I mean, we'd have to go back and back and back to kind of comb through that stuff. And this just doesn't feel right given how well the Pistons have been playing as of late. We know the cast of characters, Cade and the Sadiq Bey, all these, and this, what's his name? Wang Dulalo. These guys are playing with some stones. The Pistons are playing with some stones. They've been okay, right? And then when you look at Boston, yeah, are they one of the better teams in the league? I wouldn't go that far, but in a way, the Celtics are, they kind of just, they're lazy. Let's just call it what it is. They show up and play when they want to. If they need to get their ass in gear, we'll get around to it. And before you know it, you've lost a couple games in a row, or before you know it, you've watched a 20-point lead get shredded to 2 or 3 points here. So to me, it's pretty easy which way I'm leaning. I'm going to take the Pistons plus 14.5 here in Boston. And again, the Pistons, there's something going on there, but in a good way. These kids are really starting to come together. Might be too little too late, but that's fine. We got to learn how to win. I know that's been my MO all season on this broadcast when we're talking about the Wings and the Pistons here, but hey, maybe they can go on a run later in the season, and that would really carry over to next year. But as of right now, tonight, give me the Pistons plus 14.5 points. Sounds ridiculous when you say it out loud.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Beastie. I mean, when they started off on this nice little run here that we picked up on, it was like the beginning of February. They ended up playing, and they were only getting 12 points then. And then they played them 2 weeks later on the 26th, and they were getting 12 and a half. And now we're getting 14 and a half, and we're playing better ball. I just don't quite understand it. I'll take the extra 2 points. Thanks a lot here. So I am definitely happy with the way this is lining up here with the Pistons. So give me the Pistons, but let's talk a little bit about some DFS tonight here. I mean, we got all kinds of injuries, especially out here with New Orleans. I mean, man, they are going to be missing quite the. I mean, they're missing C.J. McCollum. We already know Brandon Ingram's going to be out. I mean, this team here, there's going to be all kinds of value. Are we going to get Devontae Graham here tonight? I think he's a guy that is going to be interesting. But to just kind of look in here, back-to-back teams. Obviously, we got who's on the back-to-back. Just want to double-check I'm saying this right. So the second time, I don't think anybody's on a back-to-back. Nobody's on a back-to-back. So
no, it was only 2 games last night.
Yeah, that's kind of odd. I mean, I was just sitting there thinking, usually we got teams. One thing I usually like to look at during my my research to see, but Beastie, the big thing here tonight, Luka's playing the Rockets. I mean, the Rockets suck, man. They can't play any defense. I mean, could Luka go off for one of them games tonight with 80, 90 points, especially if Houston can keep it close? I mean, you obviously worry about the blowout, but what are you thinking about Luka here? Is there anybody else that stands out to you? But is there any maybe value plays you're looking at? But for me, the clear spend up guy is Luka.
No, absolutely. And it's we're at a point in the year. I've long said this before, even before I was writing or broadcasting here. When it comes to DFS, especially all the major sports, basketball, football, hockey, we go through certain waves, right? Of the contests being like watered down, or casual fans play, and then they split here. And we're going through kind of a wave right now, if I might say so, because everybody's attention is pulled towards, baseball's back, everyone's buzzing, or basketball back. So we might be able to get over on some folks tonight and for the foreseeable future during the process of March Madness here. But when we look at this, yeah, Luka, it has to be a must start tonight. It's just such a sweet matchup here. I also like guys like, I'm just predisposed to going with those cheap, bottom of the barrel type guys. I mean, that's what I've kind of made some news doing that stuff. But Patrick Beverley looks to be a nice play. Minnesota's playing in Orlando. Orlando stinks. They're 20th overall against point guards. Pat Bev only $4,900 on DraftKings, and we're looking at a ceiling. You got to take that with a grain of salt. Ceiling doesn't always come around, but realistically, I could see Pat Bev being in 31, 32 total DraftKings points. Ceiling could be in the early 40s here. And when we go down, Alex Burks only $5,500 playing for New York. New York Knicks are playing in Memphis tonight. And then as we continue to go down here, at center. Is there any other option at center tonight that other than Jonas Valanciunas, right? He's playing for New Orleans. They got nobody. Jonas V, I'll just call him Jonas V. I'm so bad at chopping up these names if it's not hockey here, but Jonas V, he might see literally every minute this game unless he gets into some early foul trouble where they have to take him out. But realistically, Jonas V should play 35, 38 minutes here, $7,500 at center, and you can move some pieces around and maybe even add PJ Washington. And Kristaps Porzingis looks like he's going to play this evening unless I'm out in left field here. But the Washington Bullets, I think they used to be called when Chris Webber played for them, but Washington Wizards are playing in LA against the Lakers here. And Kristaps, only $6,000, and we know what he can do. He just got to kind of get it rolling here after just a long extended stay on the IR and switching teams here. But to me, I like the way it's shaping up tonight with, as you said, Luka, and then kind of just pluck some gems that are very cheap that we're going to see high usage, and turn your attention to the New Orleans Pelicans. That's kind of where the hub for cheap plays tonight.
Yeah, with New Orleans, you got Devontae Graham, as I mentioned. Herbert Jones is a guy you could play as well, but I'm kind of looking here. LeBron James would be a secondary spend up, maybe that I'd look at. There is all kinds of value. You did mention Alec Burke. I think he's a guy you could play. Maxi Kleber as well. But I don't mind Cade Cunningham tonight, 7,400. Jaylen Brown at 7,300. I don't mind either one of those guys. I think those guys are different plays. Going back to the Pelicans, Herbert Jones is another guy. Jackson, Hayes, as we mentioned, Graham. So those are the three that I'd be looking at. As I mentioned, you mentioned Porzingis. I don't mind him at all either. But, stars and scrubs for me tonight, Beastie. I think, as we mentioned, Luka's a guy I think you pretty much got to have on your teams. But, Beastie, I tell you what, we got to hear from our sponsor of the show here as we get fancy now. So we got a commercial here to play. So go ahead and roll it, Spencer.
Hi, I'm John from Better Rate Mortgage, and to me, family is more than blood. That's why I have the biggest family in Metro Detroit. If you're looking to buy a house or refinance and need a loan, come get treated better than family by me and our entire team here at Better Rate Mortgage. We pride ourselves on giving you better advice, better service, and a better loan experience. That's why we are Better Rate. If you're looking for a new mortgage, come get treated like family. Actually, better with Better Rate Mortgage. Visit us at mybetterrate.com or call at 248-480-4467 today.
All right, and then I want to give a shout out to our other sponsor of the show, and that would be the Jars Cannabis Company. Shop at jarscannabis.com. They offer delivery, pickup, and in-store shopping. Michigan's largest variety for the lifestyle, any of the lifestyle needs. Jars Cannabis is a medical and recreational retailer located throughout Michigan, Grand Rapids, Flint, Lansing, and more. But Beastie, if you spend $100 over there at Jars for listening to the Woodward Bets Show and the Woodward Sports Network, we'll get you 20% off your order. So make sure you mention that. But good to have the Jars Cannabis and Better Rate Mortgage here, a part of the show. We definitely appreciate that. But make sure you're getting over there and checking out our sponsors for us. But Beastie, before we get too far, I just want to remind everybody to get over there and follow that Woodward Bets page for us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on that YouTube for us. We definitely appreciate that. But Beastie, the people wants to know here what's going on in the NHL. We got 4 games, not as big as of a slate as yesterday, but after that crystal ball worked so well yesterday, what do you have on these 4 games for us?
Yeah, 13 games, 2 games, 4 games, it doesn't matter. I dig in all the same. It literally could be 1 game or it could be 75 games. I dig in because I absolutely love DFS. I put my heart and soul into this stuff. And it's nice when, not necessarily the recognition per se, but it's nice when people look at you and go, hey, yeah, you know what you're doing and let's keep it rolling. And to be fair, the fact that people trust what I have to say, they trust my opinion, they love to see my notes, that's what gives me the warm and fuzzies. Tonight, however, 4 games. When you look at the graphics here, Washington is playing in Vancouver. The Jets are traveling to Jersey to take on the Islanders. Vegas Golden Knights are at Pittsburgh, and then the Minnesota Wild are playing again tonight in Columbus. Right off the bat, I want to point my attention, or our attention, to the Minnesota Wild. They're wild, right? Let's just call it what it is. They've gone through some stages here where they were down, They lost a couple games, and boom, they're back on their BS, I guess you would say, off the schneid, however you want to put it here. And there's literally no way around Minnesota's first line again tonight, which it's surprised of Ryan Hartman, and you look at Kirill Kaprizov, and even a little taste on defense of a guy like Jared Spurgeon here. The Minnesota Wild, they have all the pieces that when they connect this and when they get rolling, they're going to average, I believe, as actually right now after last night, they're averaging around 4.12 goals a game. And now they go to Columbus, who's giving up around 3.8 goals a game. So I could see a case here where the Minnesota Wild win, heavy favorite in this one. We have Minnesota's projected, I believe, at about, let's just call it what it is, 3.7, or we'll round up to 4 goals a game, in comparison to the Blue Jackets are only at like 2.8 to 3 total goals here. So look at Minnesota Wild's first line and even a little taste of their second line. I've been doing that for years, right? Only 4 games here. Minnesota played really well, scored 6 goals last night against the Red Wings, and boom, when you play DFS, and folks, casual fans, no matter what you are, they go back 1 game, maybe 2 game max, and they'll say, well, Minnesota's playing tonight. They scored 6 last night. Let's keep it rolling. Therefore, Minnesota 1 might be very chalky, and I've done this a lot here. So if everybody's playing Minnesota 1, I'm going to fade players from this game, 4 players in the same game, and play Minnesota second line, Frederick Gaudreau, Matt Bodie, and Kevin Fila. These 3 have been outstanding all year, and it's a way to still get a little bit of leverage. It's still a way to get a little taste of the Wild here, and a little bit less ownership here, so you're not all tied at the top. As we move down, it would be so rude of me not to mention the New York Islanders, right? I loved them last night. I love the Wings in Minnesota. And what did the New York Islanders do? They made me sound like a genius. I said, play New York Islanders first power play unit. And this line, these 3 or 4 guys, I even added a defenseman. I believe they were accountable for 4 or 5 goals, 4 or 5 assists, all combined. I believe they were like plus, they were just plus a lot, right? Lindstrom was awesome for doing that. But the New York Islanders, Brock Nelson, first line, first power play unit. Ryan Pulock, their stud defenseman, he's there, along with Anders Lee and Anthony B, I'll call him. I believe it's Anthony Bellavere here to me. So when you look at these 3 Islanders guys on the first line, there's no way around it. I love the idea of a little taste of Minnesota too, and then stacking up literally 4 New York Islanders, Brock Nelson, Anthony Bellavere, Anders Lee, and even throw in Jean Gabriel Pegu. He's their second line center, and he plays on the first line. So those 4 Islander skaters all on the first power play unit. Look for them to keep the good times rolling. I think they beat Winnipeg tonight at home 4-3. I said Minnesota score 5, maybe 6 goals yet again. And if you want to get off the beaten path a little bit, look at Vancouver. They're the late game tonight. The Washington Capitals head to Vancouver to take on the Canucks here. And everybody's like, ooh and ah about Alexander Ovechkin. I believe tonight he's got a chance to pass Jaromir Jagr in terms of points and or goals here. So when you look at that, I love the idea. You know, you're a hockey fan. You like Alexander Ovechkin. Yeah, make some parlays on him or stack their first line. That's all well and good. But if you want to win some money and get over on some folks, you have to think more rationally. And I just love the Vancouver Canucks. Nobody ever talks about them, and all they continue to, they're not winning a ton, but they just continue to rack up points and assists and goals here. So for that fact, I love the Vancouver Canucks first line. JT Miller, Brock Boeser, Tanner Pearson was just bumped up. And so all 3 guys, you get the first line, and with all 3, you get 2 on the first power play unit, and you get a little taste of the second PP from Tanner Pearson here. So to me, Vancouver wins this one 4-3. It looks as a good night here in Vegas, and playing Pittsburgh, only 4 games. Might as well give you the final score there as well. I think the Vegas Golden Knights do well in Pittsburgh, and they win 4-1, 3-1, something along those lines. And I will wait till the end of the broadcast to give you my best bets. At this point, you can kind of see where I'm going with this one. But Minnesota 1 or 2, New York Islanders first power play unit, and any piece of the Vancouver Canucks you want tonight here, Scott.
Perfect. Sounds good, Beastie. I love it. I mean, yesterday you nailed it right on the head. I mean, the Islanders, you had because the same score as we already said in the Red Wing game. You had that, and then of course we both like Kaprizov to score a goal yesterday at plus 120 against the Red Wings, and that came through for us. But Beastie, we're getting to that time of the show where we need to give out our best bets here. So let's. You had just recently mentioned here So
Yeah.
let's hear it. What you got for your best bets for the day?
All right. Well, I have it all written down here in front of me, and I leave no stone unturned. I'm open and honest with everybody. I love the idea of taking the Winnipeg at the Islanders game over under 6.5 goals here. I'm smashing the over. As I said, I think we're looking at 7 or 8 total goals in this one. That's easy peasy. The Vancouver Canucks money line, or you can just take them straight up minus, I believe they're minus $1.10, something along those lines. Take the over in the Minnesota and Columbus game. That one's at 6.5, and I think we're looking at 9 or 10 goals combined in that one. So over under 6.5, Minnesota at Columbus, over under 6.5 with Winnipeg and the Islanders. Take the Golden Knights money line and take the Vancouver Canucks money line. That's 4 nice little legs in a sweet parlay here this evening for hockey action.
I absolutely love it. So for me today, for my best bets, I have 3 of them. First one, I'm going with Miami plus the 9 against Duke. I will take that all day long. I just think that's way too many points. I'm also going to roll with the under in that North Carolina Virginia Tech game, as we mentioned earlier. And then Beastie, we all know what my last one is, my favorite one of the day. And that would be the disrespected Detroit Pistons, who are getting 14.5 points against a team. We just whooped their ass. So for the ghost of Larry Bird, you can suck it, because we're going to kick your ass again tonight. Pistons covering the spread. Let's go. So here, I'm on the Pistons, as you can see. So let's keep that rolling. 8 out of 9 they've covered. So give me the Pistons tonight. So Beastie, I'm loving it. Let's go. We got all kinds of sports to watch here today. We will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. So for Spencer Behind the Glass, for Detroit Beastie, I am Scott. This is the end of the Woodward Bet Show. We'll catch you tomorrow, and good luck.